Have you ever had that feeling where you just need to get away from everybody to feel like yourself again? Well, today we're going to dive deep into the psychology of people who actually genuinely enjoy being alone. We're going to crack the code on the huge, massive difference between choosing solitude and suffering from loneliness. Okay, let's boot up the system. We're peeling back all those layers of the online persona. And right out of that chaos, we're gonna find our focus. All right, let's get right into it by untangling two ideas that people mix up all the time. Over on the left, you've got loneliness. You know that feeling? It's that painful, unwanted isolation, kind of like our little noob character here under a rain cloud. But on the right, that's solitude. And this is totally different. This isn't about being sad. It's a powerful recharge. It's a choice. So let's be super clear. Loneliness is a negative state. It's that gap between the connection you want and the connection you actually have. The key words here are involuntary and passive. It really feels like something important is missing. Solitude, on the other hand, is a total power move. It's an active, voluntary choice to step away from all the noise. See, it's not about lacking connection with others. It's about making a stronger connection with yourself. It's where you go for reflection, for creativity, for a full mental reset. Okay, so if these two things are basically polar opposites, why do we get them so twisted up? Why does our culture so often act like being alone is some kind of problem you have to solve? And yeah, why can being by yourself sometimes feel like you've just disconnected from reality? The answer lies in something I like to call the validation trap. This right here is a huge reason why so many people are actually afraid of being alone. It's this psychological loop that has become completely supercharged in our hyper-connected, always online world. And here's exactly how that trap works. For a lot of us, our whole sense of self is built on what other people think. So, step one, we look to others as a kind of social mirror to tell us who we are. Step two, we get that feedback, likes, comments, praise. And these little like tokens make us feel real. They make us feel seen. But here's the catch. Step three. The validation always stops. It has to. The likes dry up, the praise fades away, the social mirror turns to look at something else. And when that happens, for someone who's caught in this trap, their entire sense of self can just crumble. It feels like you've disappeared because your reflection is gone. And that brings us to a really powerful question. What if you didn't need that mirror? What if your sense of self wasn't just a reflection you saw in other people's eyes? What if it was a solid internal core that you built yourself? This is the secret to unlocking the true power of solitude. This is what we call internal validation, or what psychologists might call self-concept clarity. It's about having a stable, clear idea of who you are that doesn't get tossed around by every little comment or social media trend. Honestly, it's the superpower of people who really thrive when they're alone. So how does this actually play out? Well, first, your core identity is something you create and maintain yourself. It's solid. Second, you start to see all that external approval, those like tokens, as just nice bonuses, not something you need to function. And third, and this is the big one, you become your own main source of validation. You know your own worth, no audience required. And this brings us to a really cool neurological benefit. When you choose solitude, it's kind of like putting your brain on a dopamine detox. You're consciously stepping away from those constant cheap hits of social approval, and that lets your brain's whole reward system reset back to a much healthier normal. Yeah, this brain reset is a totally active process. So in step one, our brain is just on social overload. It's that chaotic meme storm of notifications, opinions, and noise. Step two is the choice. You intentionally choose solitude and step away. And the result, step three, a prefrontal cortex reset. All that mental chaos finally untangles, and it makes space for real clarity, real focus, and deep thought. I really want you to let this one sink in because it completely reframes the whole idea of being alone. It is not an escape. It's not a sign that you're failing socially. It is a fundamental part of mental maintenance. It's how you recharge your batteries so you can show up in the world better and more effectively when you actually choose to. So, we're going to leave you with this question. When you stop depending on that social mirror, when you start generating your own sense of self, solitude stops being an empty space to be feared, and it becomes a workshop. It becomes a place for creativity, for problem solving, for self-discovery. So,
What will you build in the quiet?